The man who murdered 77 people is a Norwegian far-right extremist who carried out 2 sequential terrorist attacks on July 22, 2011. This tragic event is known as the 2011 Norway attacks. Who was the murderer of 77 people in Norway? The murderer of 77 people likely refers to Anders Behring Breivik, and today we will discuss his detailed history from all the phases of his life. Phase 1. Family background and early life. On February 13, 1979, Breivik was born. His mother, Wenche Elizabeth Behring, was a nursing assistant from the period of 1946 to 2013, and his father, Jens David Breivik, was a civil economist who served as a diplomat for the Norwegian embassy in London and subsequently in Paris. He has 3 paternal half-siblings, namely Eric, Jan, and Nina, and 1 maternal sister named as Elizabeth. Breivik's parents divorced when he was 1 year old, and he spent his early years in London. His mother's maiden name, Behring, is his middle name and is not a part of the family name. His family's name is Breivik, which means broad bay. The report recommended that he be taken from his mother and placed in child welfare because she had been severely abusing him emotionally and psychologically. But the Child Welfare Service decided not to go ahead with this recommendation. At the age of 17, Breivik's mother left her abusive home and soon after became a teenage mother. She married Jens Breivik in her 30s after becoming pregnant with him. She moved back to London, where Jens was employed. During her pregnancy, Breivik's mother called the National Center for Child Protection at the suggestion of her neighbors. Psychologists considered that Breivik lost all emotional expression because his mother had punished him and reacted violently when he expressed emotion. Furthermore, his mother had claimed that because he was filthy, she had to constantly take care of him. The psychologists believed that Breivik's mental illness resulted from his obsession with his mother's punishment. Phase 2. Childhood and teenage life. Breivik attended Smestad Grammar School, Riz Junior High School, and Oslo Commerce School. According to a former classmate, Breivik was a bright student who was physically stronger than other students of his age and frequently helped out bullied individuals. Breivik lived in the west end of Oslo with his mother and maternal sister. He took his graffiti far more seriously than his friends, resulting in repeated police encounters, another notification from Child Welfare Services, and 2 fines. Breivik's mother claims that after he was discovered and fined for spray painting graffiti on walls in 1995, it was stated that they had not communicated since that time. But according to Breivik's father, his son was the one to cut off communication, saying, "I was always willing to see," in spite of his destructive actions. Phase 3. Adulthood and criminal life. Breivik lacked military training and was exempt from being drafted into the Norwegian army. According to the Norwegian Defense Security Department, which oversees the screening procedure, Breivik was declared unfit for service at the required assessment. Following his 21st birthday, Breivik worked in an unidentified firm's customer service department, where he was kind to everyone and dealing with people from all countries. He was called an exceptional colleague by a former fellow, but a close friend claimed he typically had a large ego. Breivik is said to have taken numerous trips, visiting up to 24 countries, including Belarus, prior to attacks. Phase 4. Attacks and terrorist life. Breivik, who is 23 years old, stated that he formed his own computer programming company while working for a customer service company in 2002 and began a 9-year plan to finance the attacks in 2011. He stated that he made his first $1 million at the age of 24, and his company expanded to 6 employees. He also had several offshore bank accounts and claimed that despite losing $2 million on stock speculation, he still had roughly $2 million left over to fund the attack. The company was eventually declared bankrupt, and Breivik was looked into for a number of legal offenses. Then he went back to his mother's house to try to save money. The first set of psychiatrists who evaluated him noted in their report that he started his geo farm in May 2009 as a privately owned farm with the intention of cultivating roots, vegetables, melons, and tubers. In 2010, he traveled to Prague in an attempt to buy illegal weapons. As he could not obtain a weapon in Norway, he made the decision to proceed via the legal system. By demonstrating in his police application that he belonged to a pistol club, he was able to lawfully obtain a 9mm handgun, and he was able to lawfully obtain a semi-automatic rifle by obtaining a hunting license. The first attack occurred in Oslo's executive government quarter on July 22, 2011, when a car bomb explodes. The bomb was hidden in a van near the Prime Minister's office tower block. The explosion claimed the lives of 8 and injured at least 209, 12 of which were critical. A couple of hours, there was another attack at a youth summer camp on the island of Utøya. The youth wing of the ruling Norwegian Labour Party was in charge of organizing the camp. After taking a cruise to the island, Breivik fired at the participants while wearing a makeshift police uniform and presenting a fake ID. Over the course of more than an hour, he methodically killed and injured 32 people. In addition to the stepbrother of the Norwegian crown princess, Stoltenberg's associates also passed away. Phase 5. Getting arrested in prison life. He gave himself up without a struggle when the Oslo-based police tactical unit Delta confronted him on the island. He was detained and investigated all night long on the island following his arrest before being taken to a holding cell in Oslo. Breivik admitted his crimes and said the attack was necessary to stop Muslims from taking over Norway and Western Europe. He also said the Labour Party would pay the price for neglecting Norway and its citizen. After being arrested, Breivik referred to himself as the greatest monster since Quisling. Breivik was charged on July 25, 2011, with violating the Norwegian Criminal Code, which restricts acts of terrorism. Breivik was also charged with creating serious fear in the population and causing instability and destroying basic functions of society. 8 weeks were spent in imprisonment. The first 4 were spent in isolation, while further legal actions were pending. The custody was extended in the hearings that followed and was prepared for sentence in the first part of March 2012. The Director of Public Prosecutions initially decided to limit the document's public release by leaving out the victims' names and the circumstances surrounding their deaths. Due to public response, this decision was amended before the release. Since August 2011, Breivik has been housed in an especially high-security section of the prison. In March of 2022, Breivik was transferred to Ringerike prison, where he got placed in a SHS section with another prisoner. But Breivik was separated from everyone. Breivik made the decision to stop seeing the military major he had been seeing every 2 weeks since 2015. His mother had 5 encounters with him before her death in 2013. Researcher Gardell conducted an interview with him in 2014 as well, but Breivik has not been granted access to any other guest he requested. He can only interact with the medical staff and guards as he was kept separated from the other prisoners. Breivik gave the code names of his assigned mentor and himself in the organization, Richard and Sigurd, respectively, after the Crusaders and Kings of Norway in the 12th century and Richard the Lionheart of England. As a lone member of this organization, he described himself as such, claiming that there are multiple other cells spread throughout Western nations, including 2 more in Norway. Breivik made the unrealistic offer to divulge information about these cells on August 2, 2011. Following an extensive investigation conducted with assistance from multiple international security agencies, the Norwegian police concluded that Breivik's claims were the result of his mental disorder and did not find any evidence, and were sure he didn't have anything on him. Breivik insisted he belonged to an order and that his one-man cell had been stimulated by another undercover cell. An email asking for Breivik's release and containing additional threats to Norwegian society was sent to several news agencies and politicians in Norway on August 2012 by someone presenting as Breivik's deputy. One of the most horrific incidents in history occurred in 2011 when violent extremist Anders Behring Breivik carried out 2 separate acts of terrorism in Norway, killing 77 people and multiple severely injured. So this concludes our today's topic. We hope you found our video informative. Subscribe to our channel for more interesting and surprising content.